The other mother looked healthier than before. There was a little blush to her cheeks, and her hair was wiggling like lazy snakes on a warm day. Her black button eyes seemed as if they had been freshly polished. She had pushed through the mirror as if she was walking through nothing more solid than water, and had stared down at Coraline. Then she opened the door with a little silver key. She picked Coraline up, just as Coraline's real mother had when Coraline was much younger, cradling the half-sleeping child as if she were a baby. The other mother carried Coraline into the kitchen and put her down, very gently, upon the countertop. Coraline struggled to wake herself up, conscious only for the moment of having been cuddled and loved, and wanting more of it, then realizing where she was and who she was with. "There, my sweet Coraline," said her other mother, "I came and fetched you out of the cupboard. You need to be taught a lesson. But we temper our justice with mercy here. We love the sinner, and we hate the sin. Now, if you will be a good child who loves her mother, be compliant and fair-spoken, you and I will understand each other perfectly. And we shall love each other perfectly as well." Coraline scratched the sleep grit from her eyes. "There were other children in here," she said. "Old ones, from a long time ago." "Were there?" said the other mother. She was bustling through between the pans in the fridge, bringing out eggs and cheeses, butter, and a slab of sliced pink bacon. "Yes," said Coraline, "there were. I think you're planning to turn me into one of them, a dead shell." Her other mother smiled gently. With one hand she cracked the eggs into a bowl. With the other she whisked them and whirled them. Then she dropped a pat of butter into the frying pan, where it hissed and fizzled and spun as she sliced thin slices of cheese. She poured the melted butter and the cheese into an egg mixture and whisked it some more. "Now, I think you're being silly, dear," said the other mother. "I love you. I will always love you. Nobody sensible believes in ghosts anyway. That's because they're all such liars. Smell the lovely breakfast I'm making for you." She poured the yellow mixture into the pan. "Cheese omelette, your favourite." Coraline's mouth watered. "You like games," she said. "That's what I've been told." The other mother's black eyes flashed. "Everybody likes games." That's all she said. "Yes," said Coraline. She climbed down from the counter and sat at the kitchen table. The bacon was sizzling and spitting under the grill. It smelled wonderful. "Wouldn't you be happier if you won me, fair and square?" asked Coraline. "Possibly," said the other mother. She had a show of unconcernedness, but her fingers twitched and drummed, and she licked her lips with her scarlet tongue. "What exactly are you offering?" "Me," said Coraline, and she gripped her knees under the table to stop them from shaking. "If I lose, I'll stay with you forever, and I'll let you love me. I'll be a most dutiful daughter. I'll eat your food and play happy families, and I'll let you sew your buttons into my eyes." Her other mother stared at her, black buttons unblinking. "That sounds very fine," she said. "And if you do not lose? Then you let me go. You let everyone go. My real father and mother, the dead children, everyone you've trapped here." The other mother took the bacon from under the grill and put it on a plate. Then she slipped the cheese omelette from the pan onto the plate, flipping it as she did so, letting it fold itself into a perfect omelette shape. She placed the breakfast plate in front of Coraline, along with a glass of freshly squeezed orange juice and a mug of frothy hot chocolate. "Yes," she said, "I think I like this game. But what kind of game shall it be? A riddle game? A test of knowledge? Or of skill?" "An exploring game," suggested Coraline. "A finding things game." "And what is it you think you should be finding in this hide-and-go-seek game, Coraline Jones?" Coraline hesitated. Then, "My parents," said Coraline, "and the souls of the children behind the mirror." The other mother smiled at this, triumphantly, and Coraline wondered if she had made the right choice. Still, it was too late to change her mind now. "A deal," said her other mother. "Now, eat up your breakfast, my sweet. Don't worry, it won't hurt you." Coraline stared at the breakfast, hating herself for giving in so easily, but she was starving. "How do I know you'll keep your word?" asked Coraline. "I swear it," said the other mother. "I swear it on my own mother's grave." "Does she have a grave?" asked Coraline. "Oh, yes," said the other mother. "I put her in there myself. And when I found her trying to crawl out, I put her back." "Swear on something else, so I can trust you to keep your word." "My right hand," said the other mother, holding it up. She waggled the long fingers slowly, displaying the claw-like nails. "I swear on that." Coraline shrugged. "Okay," she said. "It's a deal." She ate the breakfast, trying not to wolf it down. She was hungrier than she had thought. As she ate, the other mother stared at her. It was hard to read expressions into those black button eyes. But Coraline thought that her other mother looked hungry too. She drank the orange juice, but even though she knew she would like it, she could not bring herself to taste the hot chocolate. "Where should I start looking?" asked Coraline. "Where you wish," said her other mother, as if she did not care at all. Coraline looked at her, and Coraline thought hard. There was no point, she decided, in exploring the garden and the grounds. They didn't exist. They weren't real. There was no abandoned tennis court in the other mother's world, no bottomless well. All that was real was in the house itself. She looked around the kitchen. She opened the oven, peered into the freezer, poked into the salad compartment of the fridge. The other mother followed her about, looking at Coraline with a smirk, always hovering at the edge of her lips. "How big are souls anyway?" asked Coraline. The other mother sat down at the kitchen table and leaned back against the wall, saying nothing. She picked at her teeth with a long crimson-varnished fingernail. Then she tapped the finger gently, tap, 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 against the polished black surface of her black button eyes. "Fine," said Coraline. "Don't tell me. I don't care. It doesn't matter if you help me or not. Everyone knows that a soul is the same size as a beach ball." She was hoping the other mother would say something like, "Nonsense! They're the size of ripe onions, or suitcases, or grandfather clocks." But the other mother simply smiled, and the tap, tap, tapping of her fingernail against her eye was as steady and relentless as the drip of water droplets from the tap into the sink. And then Coraline realized it was simply the noise of the water, and she was alone in the room. Coraline shivered. She preferred the other mother to have a location. If she were nowhere, then she could be anywhere, and, after all, it is always easier to be afraid of something you cannot see. She put her hands into her pockets, and her fingers closed round the reassuring shape of the stone with the hole in it. She pulled it out of her pocket, held it in front of her as if she were holding a gun, and walked out into the hall. There was no sound but the tap, tap of the water dripping against the metal sink. She glanced at the mirror at the end of the hall. For a moment it clouded over, and it seemed to her that faces swam in the glass, indistinct and shapeless. But then the faces were gone, and there was nothing in the mirror but a girl who was small for her age, holding something that glowed gently like a green coal. Coraline looked down at her hand, surprised. It was just a pebble with a hole in it, a nondescript brown stone. Then she looked back in the mirror, where the stone glimmered like an emerald. A trail of green fire blew from the stone in the mirror, and drifted towards Coraline's bedroom. Said Coraline.